I received a message from a viewer recently that said, "I'm sending you this recording. This frequency is listed in the EIBI as US Navy. I've found this signal on 6 different frequencies in the last 2 weeks, on US and NATO frequencies, plus a couple of frequencies that are not listed as anything. I call it the washing machine signal because it sounds like an old washing machine I had in the 1970s. It's a mystery to everyone in the many shortwave groups. I'm thinking it's military, but it's a new sound. It first appeared shortly after the war in the Middle East began between Israel and Hamas. That's a clue. Maybe you know what it is, or if not, you could look into it." So this signal has been heard by listeners across North America who indicate that it first appeared on Sunday, October the 15th, 1 week after the October the 7th Hamas attacks on Israel. It was most active early on in the conflict, and also noticed frequently when 2 US aircraft carrier groups were travelling to the Mediterranean Sea near Israel towards the end of October. US and Canadian listeners posted various audio clips on radio and shortwave listening related groups and forums, but nobody has been able to identify the signal. It disappeared in very early November after US warships arrived in the Med and hasn't been heard since. So I've never heard a sound like it. I was leaning towards some kind of US Navy encrypted STANAG, but I'm not so sure, and I'll come to this later on. I couldn't hear these signals here in the UK, and we can deduce a couple of things from this. If they were heard across the US and Canada, then it was possibly emanating from US Navy ground stations targeting some other parts of the world with huge directional antennas. Why US Navy? Well, let's look at the frequencies. I was sent a list of frequencies these signals have been heard on. Let's quickly run through these, as I suspect 1 or 2 may be slightly off. 5715 is one of the frequencies for the now inactive V24 number station, a South Korean intelligence broadcast that disappeared in September 2020. Take a listen. 38, I'm inclined to say that the frequency the mystery signal was heard on was actually 5716. This is a frequency used by one of 3 US Navy stations linked to Naval Radio Transmitter Facility Aguada on Puerto Rico. Isabella is the name for the US Navy's high-frequency transmitter site in Isabella on the northwest coast of Puerto Rico, and that station uses this frequency. 6487 kHz is a frequency used by transmitters at the 980-acre Davidsonville Transmitter Site, a US Air Force property located approximately 30 miles away from Joint Base Andrews. 6831 is another frequency used by transmitters out of Isabella. 6945 is another frequency out of Davidsonville, Maryland. 6970 has no links to US Navy transmitter sites and is more popular with pirates, so this one remains mysterious. 7830 is again a US Navy frequency from Isabella. 13228 was given to me, but I suspect this is 13229, a slightly more elusive frequency used rarely by transmitters in Isabella. And finally 21295. This isn't a frequency with any known US Navy links, but it does fall into the 15-meter amateur band. So I think we can say that it's no coincidence that most of these frequencies are used by US Navy ground stations. These frequencies are also commonly used by what sounds like RTTY that nothing can decode. This group of frequencies, along with many others, are often filled with NATO 50 or 75 baud STANAG 4481 signals, usually overdriven and with lots of encryption. I searched through many different recordings of these types of signals but couldn't find anything that matches the washing machine. The closest I came was this unidentified signal recorded by Radio Nut 63 on 6970 kHz, but it's not the same. So that's where the trail goes cold. Everything points towards the US Navy, but I can't find anything similar at all. Let me know if you heard these signals or you recognise the mode that's being used. While we're on the topic of mysteries, I have one you may be able to help me with. Fish phone. Fish phones were on a range of channels from around 1 to 3 MHz. The radios all had to have functionality on the old 2182 kHz distress channel and were apparently delicensed by the late 1970s. I've seen talk of fish phone referring to ship-to-shore telephone calls that were connected through coastal radio stations. Others have said that it was a nickname for the trawler band two-way radio between ships, like an early form of CB radio and nothing to do with ship-to-shore phone calls. I've seen people recall a sexy-sounding Swedish girl calling the ships at times. Apparently it used paired channels. That's all I know. Does anybody remember fish phone? Can anybody give us any more recollections, memories or information on this system? All I have is the frequency listing.